Yep. All right. So ESPN is our political maniac. So the culture wars that have been energized by Donald Trump, read racism, and his election paid dividends on Monday when ESPN announced it would suspend anchor Jemele Hill for 2 weeks. Hill, one of the network's few black female on-air personalities, spoke truth to power, tweeting Sunday that Dallas Cowboys and fans should boycott the team's advertisers if they were angry about owner Jerry Jones' call to bench players who disrespect the American flag. All right, this is what she wrote. This play always works. Change happens when advertisers are impacted. If you feel strongly about Jones' statement, boycott his advertisers. Right? Peaceful protest, all those good things that we stand for. ESPN wasn't having it.
But you've got to read the clarifying tweets. Okay. Read the clarifying. We continue. Well, I'm assuming the article gives you her clarifying tweets.
Oh, she clarified the next day she wasn't encouraging the boycott, only pointing out that boycotts have proven to be an effective way for consumers to get what they want. ESPN announced her suspension 3 hours later. It had been 4 weeks since Hill drew criticism for calling Trump a, quote, white supremacist on September 11th, prompting a reprimand from the network and calls from the White House for her to be fired. First of all, Donald Trump is a white supremacist. Let's get that right off the bat. Secondly, Jemele Hill is saying the truth.
And let me just read her clarifying tweet so we can read it as it was. Just so we're clear, I'm not advocating an NFL boycott. But an unfair burden has been put on players in Dallas and Miami with anthem directive. And she went further to say, let me see. Oh, where it is. If fans really are upset about what JJ, which is Jerry Jones, who's the owner of the Cowboys, and Stephen Ross has done, don't call the players sellouts, but you're watching every Sunday. And so what she's saying is if you are upset about the fact that Mr. Jones and Mr. Ross are forcing their players to stand or not play in the anthem, don't call the players sellouts for kneeling anyway. You need to take the action into your own hands and boycott them. That's your choice. Now, here's my problem. The reason why I think ESPN should win this Maniac of the Week is because they have a crappy social media policy.
Yep.
Because clearly she's not saying that you should boycott the NFL.
Right.
She's saying that if you are a fan of the NFL and you think that it's effed up what's happening to these players, then stop watching. Right? I mean, put your money where your mouth is. Don't be like, oh yeah, I believe in Colin, but I watch every day. See, I believe in Colin, and I don't watch.
Did you watch before?
No.
But especially not now.
No, especially not now. But you know what I'm saying? But my point is like, I won't watch. I won't partake.
Sure.
I go out of my way not to watch.
Don't wear your Redskins hat.
I don't own any football. Like, I don't own any football memorabilia. Or I don't own anything. Yeah. And I won't buy anything.
Right. Richard's speaking with his wallet.
Exactly. And I think, and it's prudent upon me. And now, if they were to go after one of these players, and they were to, like, if one of their advertisers were to, like, so say for example, let's just play this all out. Say for example, LeBron were to now kneel, and Sprite was like, "We're upset that LeBron kneeled."
LeBron's gonna do something. I mean, he's good for him. I mean,
I'm not sure what he's gonna do, but if LeBron were to kneel, and Sprite was like, "We're pulling," you know, we're not gonna. LeBron will no longer be a brand sponsor of Sprite. I'll be like, well, screw it. I will no longer drink Sprite.
I mean, LeBron is someone who's actually big enough that, like, Sprite's better get on board with the freaking kneeling and, like, make a kneeling commercial. Because LeBron can, you know, everyone wants LeBron to sell their crap.
Right, but I mean, once again, like I've said this over and over again, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is that we have moved nowhere as a country with this kneeling stuff.
Sure.
Like, and I'm going to be very clear when I say this, I think those are people who feel as though these players are unpatriotic. They felt that way 3 weeks ago, and they feel the same way today. And those people who think the players are kneeling for oppression and for racial discrimination and they're fighting back, they feel the same way they felt 3 weeks ago, and they felt the same way today. Everybody's on their sides, and they're now dug in.
Yeah.
And there's no movement. And I think what this president has done, and the job of the president of the United States, Barack Obama got this. I think George Bush got it, right? And I mean, here's the thing. Talking about George Bush. So Kanye, there's a famous Kanye where, you know, he said George Bush doesn't like black people.
He doesn't care about black people.
He doesn't care about black people. And then George Bush did an Oprah interview when he wrote his book. And Oprah asked him that question. And he said, you know, that was the most hurtful thing. And because I actually really do, and I really tried hard. And he wrote a whole chapter about it. And
you know who doesn't care about black people?
I was getting there. When you talk to people who know George Bush, they're like, actually, like, and I really do believe this now, and maybe he wasn't a great president, maybe his policies really did hurt black people, but guess what? Bill Clinton was supposed to be the first black president, and his policies hurt black people.
Sure.
So let's just be real about these things. But with that being said, it's obvious that this president cares little about black people. Since he has taken office, I think there might have been one time that he mentioned the word racism or racial oppression. And in that speech he said...
That was on his, like, second try, too.
And that was on his second try, and he's like, well, it happened long before me. It's not my fault. It happened long before me. But he never acknowledges the fact he never acknowledges the dog whistles that he puts out there, the megaphones. He never acknowledges that there is no many sides to the KKK.
Right.
There's just the KKK on one side and neo-Nazis and everybody else.
Everyone else.
Like, I don't care if you support him or not. Like, the fact that Republicans are so spineless, right? And Republicans are supposed to be the party of ideals and are supposed to be the party of the Constitution and they're supposed to be the party of patriotism. If you are really the party of patriotism and you're really the party of the Constitution, then you should understand exactly why these players are kneeling. Because the same knee that they took was the same knee that Dr. King and John Lewis took when they crossed the Edmund Pettus Bridge and were beaten.
Right about that, Richard. We'll be right back.